There are several phrases a creator never wants to hear their audience say. Most of them involve the more colorful four-letter words, but the one you absolutely never want to hear is "I don't care." The reason those three words hurt so much is because as an artist, you set up a certain level of expectation for the people experiencing your art. You made a silent pact with your customers that you could invoke an emotion in them, and had the skill to make them empathize with your thoughts and ideas. To fail that, to make someone feel like they have to go out of their way to find something they enjoy about what you've made, means you have fundamentally failed your job. Look, as a creative type myself, I know how much it sucks to hear someone express utter apathy in the wake of your hardest endeavors, which is why I'm saying this with a heavy heart. I really didn't care for Unravel. Unravel is an atmospheric platformer where your main character uses yarn to traverse the world. That last bit is more complex than it sounds, as you can use that yarn not just to swing from certain points in the environment, but also to create trampolines, push and pull objects, and even engage in some physics-based puzzles. Just make sure not to get too carried away, because you only have so much yarn to work with, and until you hit a checkpoint, you won't get more. Functionally, this means that every puzzle has its own set of terms that you need to approach it with. You only have a certain amount of material to use, so the real challenge comes in figuring out how to use it most effectively. And no pun intended, but this is where Unravel started to fall apart for me. Like I said, you have plenty of ways to interact with the level, but to me, it was never 100% clear which ones I had to use and when. I almost never looked at my next challenge and immediately connected the dots, and sooner rather than later, I found myself just trying random actions until something clicked. I rarely ever got that kind of aha moment that Portal or Journey gave me. Never found a point where the skills I had picked up in a previous level were built on or expanded upon. And I think I can nail down why. In those games, the physics engine was a help and not a hindrance. Maybe it's the fact that not many games use the mechanics Unravel does, but because of the unexpected ways that objects can interact, it adds 100 different variables to what should be simple puzzles. At its worst, the answer to how to move forward passed right over my head, and I never knew it, leaving me to jump around for no reason for several minutes until I gave up and consulted a walkthrough. I just felt stupid playing Unravel, like I was mercilessly getting my butt kicked and my time wasted for what never felt like my fault. But you know what? That's fine. You want a super difficult puzzle game that'll make you think outside the box and take you out of the world to constantly re-examine your approach? Go ahead. But that begs the question, if that's the type of game that Coldwood Interactive really wanted to make, why is it being presented the way it is? You remember those mechanical dragon enemies from Journey? Alright, now imagine that they're in every level, that there are several of them comprising every challenge, and that they can actually kill you, forcing you to start the whole area over again. That would have been a very different game, wouldn't it? And that's what playing Unravel feels like to me. Oh, it looked calm and inviting on the surface, but as soon as I took that first step, I was immediately barred from seeing the rest of it by an incredibly steep difficulty curve. This is not relaxing. This is not calming. This is not a game that's making me appreciate the beauty of nature and the simpler things in life that apparently served as its influence. It's a digital brick wall for me to bash my head against until I don't even care about the beautiful forest right behind it. And believe me, if this game played as well as it looked and sounded, I'd be singing a very different tune right now. In my opinion, there are very few games out there that can justify the existence of next-gen hardware, and aesthetically at least, Unravel is one of them. This world is absolutely gorgeous. In fact, next to PT, it's probably the best looking game on my PS4 to date. The sheer amount of detail and care that went into every single environment is breathtaking. And when you couple that to a soundtrack that emphasizes acoustics, slow paces, and simple ambient melodies, it's obvious the team had a very clear vision of what they wanted to inspire in the people who experienced their art. And I'm right there with them. Sometimes I just have to stop and take it all in, to appreciate just how much devotion went into capturing that feeling of tranquility and peace, because God knows I'm not going to get it while I'm actually playing. Unravel just felt confusing and disappointing in many different ways. The team behind this had to be incredibly talented, but the clash between how the aesthetic makes me feel and how the gameplay makes me feel is unbelievably jarring. It tries to chase some very ambitious ideas and concepts, eschewing the need for conflict and deliberately asking for a slow pace so you can figure out how to properly use your unconventional abilities. Then it turns around and becomes an action game in places for no reason, only amplifying the wide margin for error you at least had time to work around before. Its story is vague and absent in a game where you desperately need a reason to keep fighting against the punishing nature of it all, and while it comes from a very personal, very heartwarming place, it also stoops to the most basic and pretentious of man versus nature subplots that you can possibly find. Most indie devs have to commit to being this basic. At least Unravel has the decency to look and sound good while doing it. But to me, the beauty here is only skin deep. I am not happy with the fact that I paid $20 for this. In an era where so many other games have clued into the fact that gameplay is the most important part of how this art form works and its place in inspiring emotion in people, something like Unravel just sticks out like a sore thumb.